I attended every meeting with her doctor and made sure she took all her vitamins on time and was the best husband that one could ask for. Then, finally, a few days ago my wife went into labor. I was extremely nervous because who wouldn't be in my situation? But I put that all aside and took her to the hospital all by myself. I'd called her parents already but not mine since I didn't want them present there in case things became too dramatic. Anyway, her parents had to drive for an hour to get to the hospital so we had some time to ourselves, and that's when I chose to drop the bomb on her. Once she was safely inside the room, I told her that I was going to go out and call our neighbor so he could be here for her. She looked taken aback and stuttered a bit while saying that there was no need for that and she didn't want a stranger in the room while giving birth. So I smiled back at her and showed her the results of my fertility test along with the divorce papers since I'd filed for divorce just a few days before her due date that I'd made sure to carry with me on that day. She went through all of it, still looking confused, so I explained to her that I wouldn't be able to impregnate her even if I'd wanted to, so the baby wasn't mine. Then, I told her about the emails that I'd found on her super secret account, and at that moment, she finally realized what was going on. The look on her face was priceless as I walked out and she struggled to come up with words. I thought I'd need to stay in the hospital myself too because that's how fast my heart was beating when I finally walked out and called our neighbor up to inform him that my wife was in labor. I didn't even wait for his response and hung up as fast as I could. Then, I got into my car and waited for my wife's family to show up. As soon as I saw her dad's car pull up in the driveway, I got out of there as fast as I could. I even turned my phone off for good measure and drove for a while until I got to this motel a little out of town. I packed my bags already a few weeks ago and had them stashed in the boot of my car so that I had all that I needed with me and wasn't caught unprepared at any point. I spent the rest of the day watching television, drinking beer, and doing everything I possibly could to take my mind off of things. I went to sleep that night quite peacefully, knowing that I was finally done and dusted with this whole act. The next morning, I woke up and finally turned my phone on. Naturally, there were hundreds of texts from my wife and my neighbor, none of which I bothered to even open, but I did go through some texts that my parents and brother had sent me. I guess my wife had probably contacted them when she couldn't reach me, so I decided to call my parents back and speak to them. I told them that I'd be coming back home in a while and even told them to get my brother there, if possible, so that I could explain the entire situation to them because they did deserve an explanation for what was happening. I drove to my parents' house and my brother was already there, all of them looking confused and kind of annoyed, which was but natural because to them, I just missed the birth of my own child and it also made them miss the birth of their grandchild. But I sat them down and explained the whole story to them and told them my reasons for what I'd done, and by the time I was done telling them, they were speechless. I was ready to be bombarded with questions and accusations, but nothing of the sort happened. All my dad said was that he hoped nothing worse would happen, and if the others had any other comments, they didn't say anything, so it was all chill on that front. That was a few days back, and while my family hasn't said much, my wife has gone above and beyond to accuse me of ruining her experience of becoming a mother for the first time. She's been trying to call me and text me ever since I left, but I haven't answered anything. Even my neighbor texted me a few hours ago, saying that my wife was really upset and that we should keep our differences aside for her sake and at least try to sort things out with her for once. I can't believe the audacity that these people have, still trying to talk to me and make it seem like this is some petty thing that I'm getting pissed about. He mentioned a couple of other things as well in his text, like how my wife had started to fall back in love with me during her pregnancy, which had been a shock for both of them as well, so I should at least try to give our marriage a second chance. I call BS on that because if she'd started to fall for me again, then why was my neighbor still in the picture? I don't know why they think I'm that stupid. My wife is upset, but there's nothing I can do about it. She's mostly angry that I'd known everything right from the beginning but had chosen to be with her and put up with this whole act and accused me of lying to her. Ida for staying with my wife throughout her pregnancy and misleading her despite knowing that the baby wasn't mine and she'd been cheating on me with our neighbor. Update 1. It's been close to a week since the baby was born and I've been staying in a hotel room. I haven't been over to see my wife yet, and neither do I plan on going either. She's still texting and calling me, but I don't know why, since I've made it pretty clear that I'm not interested in speaking to her or hearing her out. I haven't blocked her yet, but I have blocked my neighbor since he'd taken it upon himself to text me and remind me that my wife was still holding out hope and wanted me to get back to her. I'm 100% sure that the only reason he's still with her and trying to get me to forgive her is so that she'll at least get something out of the divorce settlement and the alimony, since both of them are basically unemployed. My wife was a stay-at-home spouse, which I appreciated and respected, but she wasn't just staying at home and doing the chores, she was also cheating on me behind my back, and that was unforgivable.